Shalom and welcome to the next video in our installment on how to make your Seder meaningful and joyous this year. You might say that the Seder is broken up into two distinct portions. One before dinner, which is backward facing. It focuses on the story and symbols of the Exodus from Egypt. And the second is decidedly forward facing. In it, we pray for a time when no one will go hungry and for the rebuilding of Jerusalem. We open the door for Elijah the prophet and pray for him to arrive, heralding the Messianic era. Many of us also welcome in Miriam Miriam the prophetess, and the promise of redemption that she symbolizes. We sing about God ultimately righting a messed up dog-eat-dog world, or rather a dog-eat-cat-eat-goat world in the imagination of the popular Pesach song Chad Gadya. And we affirm the hope that next year we will celebrate Seder in Jerusalem, in a repaired and perfected world. Taken as a whole, it's as though the Seder tells us, yes, you were redeemed from the house of bondage in Egypt, but you still live in a broken world, filled with violence, hatred, oppression, poverty, and injustice. You may no longer be a slave to Pharaoh, but your redemption is incomplete until everyone is liberated. The object of our Seder is to inspire us to build a world where everyone has reason to celebrate together in the year to come. A world where the hungry are fed, where wrongs are set right, and where peace and justice reign. And in working toward that rebuilt and perfected world, that opening the door for Elijah the prophet and Miriam the prophetess invites us toward, calls us toward, there's also an additional aspect that we have to be mindful of. Tradition has it that as Passover commemorates our past redemption, the Messianic era will also begin on Passover. That's why we invite Elijah the prophet and Miriam the prophetess to our Seder, in the hopes that redemption will be at hand. But redemption, we are taught, comes in two distinct forms: political and personal. The first redemption was political. The Israelite nation was freed from Egyptian slavery. The second, then, will be personal, removing the Egypt that is in the heart of each Israelite. Redemption will come if we turn our hearts from the enslavements of narrowness, callousness, and indifference. That feels so important and so profound in this moment, in which every single action we take, and indeed the actions we don't take, are expressions either of our indifference or of our care and concern for the rest of humanity and the rest of creation. And when we open the door for Elijah, it is a moment of hope and an expression of yearning for redemption. But even though it's an expression of welcoming and possibility, it's also got a shadow side. According to the medieval Polish sage Rabbi Moses Isserlis, who lived at a time when it was dangerous to publicize one's Judaism, we open our doors as a rejection of fear. Many of us live our lives metaphorically shut in, and indeed today, for most of us, that's not a metaphor. It's real. We are shut in. We are sheltering in place, most of us. We're doing it for good reason, but nevertheless, we are doing it, and there is real fear there that is driving our staying in place. And we let fear, whether metaphorically or really, prevent us from being open to life's possibilities and venturing into the unknown. There are, of course, real dangers out there. We're justified in protecting ourselves and others from harm. But fear, when prevailing, is paralyzing and corrosive. Instead, on this Pesach especially, but on every Pesach, we open wide our doors, recognizing that yes, there may be darkness there, but it is also the only way to let in the light. Many of us are afraid right now. I'm afraid too. And that's exactly why we need Pesach, and it's exactly why we need to open our doors for Elijah. Because it's an expression that we are not going to allow the fear to totally dictate our direction. And that fear can close us off, but we can demonstrate that we are willing to open ourselves up in love and in care and in concern for our fellow human beings and for the rest of creation. And we open our doors as an expression of the hope that is epitomized in Passover. The recognition that yes, even if it is dark, light is coming. Even if there is oppression, liberation is coming. Even if there is constriction, redemption is coming. We just have to believe in it. And we have to follow the path that leads toward it. It's like Princess Leia says in Star Wars, hope is like the sun. If you don't believe that it's coming when it's darkest out, you'll never make it through the night. I pray on this Passover, we make it through that night together. Shalom.